guys, welcome to this channel where we become the best version of ourselves physically and mentally. My name is Scarlett, and in this video I want to share with you how I grew my upper booty from here to this right here. I know it's a lot of time and effort to figure out what works and what doesn't, so I want to take you guys through my personal experience and also what I pull out from the scientific literature, so you get really valuable evidence-based advice that you can apply it right now to up your upper booty game at home. I also made a video on this topic earlier, so you might want to check this out. But if you come from this video and you just want more info and insight onto this, then this is the one. So now without further ado, let's dive right into the video. Now the first piece of advice is to ask yourself, are you feeling where you want to grow? If you want to build the upper booty or the side booty, you want to be feeling it in the top part of the glutes, the gluteus medius, before any workout session, throughout the whole workout session. You want to feel it during the shower, while walking. You can literally do it anywhere. One glute activation, really easy way, is to just stand and twist your feet out, externally rotate and tilt your pelvis forward, and that will help you feel it. And before every leg session, you want to be priming your glutes, and that is like priming up your skin for makeup. You'll know that if you are a makeup person. Or it could be like Amazon Prime. But just kidding, not just Amazon Prime. But anyways, you want to make the muscle ready for the glute workout. You want to make them fire up so that when you're doing the squats, the glutes are contracting and your quads or your hamstring, other muscles will not take over. You want the glute to be the target. So what you want to do is to do lightweight exercises. I like to do around 2 to 3 rounds of 3 exercises. Some of my favorites are side hip abductions, sideline hip abductions, clamshells, fire hydrants. You know, the really easy one where you will not be exhausted so much after doing it. You will still have the energy to do the main workout, which is just like a warm-up. You could do it while doing the dynamic stretches. And also the benefit of doing those glute activation movements is that you will have a greater force of contraction during the workout. And that means when you do those glute activation workouts, you will be stronger during the squats, during those deadlifts. Your glutes will be really round and plump, especially for the hip thrust, the queen of the glute exercises. You will be able to produce more force. Your motions will be better. You will be able to go through a greater range of motion. And when you are stronger, you'll be pushing those type 2 fiber muscles. They will grow. That just means you'll be stronger. You'll be able to push harder, and you'll be able to push more volume as well. And the chain reaction just goes. So start from glute activation. The second piece of advice is to do the magic movement. That is abduction. Because if you want to grow the gluteus medius muscle, which is the main hip abductor, then you need to be doing hip abduction movement. You can't just do hip thrust all day and expect it to grow, because hip thrusts, they're mainly an hip extension movement and they're not an abduction movement. But if you want that nice clamshell shaped, then abduction is the way to go. So what you want to be doing is to include abduction into your hip thrust. For example, hip thrust with abductions, you can wrap your legs around a resistance band. You can also add abductions to your squats, abduction to your lunges, abduction to your abductions, and also add a resistance band. And a one PT study recommended that the best abduction movement are the side bridge hip abduction and the side lying hip abduction. So include that either toward the beginning of the workout or the end of the workout. If you want to do it like really heavy, tight resistance band, you could just try abducting toward the very end. So it's more like an isometric exercise. And also I want you to try adjusting the resistance band. Preferably you want to place it around your knees or around your feet, because that has been shown to activate your gluteus medius more than placing it close to the hips. And the third piece of sweet and juicy piece of advice that I like to give for growing muscle, not just for gluteus medius, but for any piece of muscle, is to increase your tempo. Your face needs to be cringing and you need to be crying during those tempos, because you're just prolonging that contraction. So what you want to do is to increase the eccentric phase duration for up to around 5 to 6 seconds. And that has been shown to be around the ideal range from what I looked into the literature. And I also read a study where they compared 30% 1 rep max versus really heavy 90% 1 rep max. The 30% 1 rep max people were doing 6 seconds hold during the eccentric phase, whereas the other 90% group were just contracting 1 second for eccentric and 1 second for concentric. And what they found was a greater muscle protein synthesis, that is muscle buildup, for the 5-second eccentric and concentric tempo groups. So that literally means that it doesn't matter if your weight is heavy or light, even if you have very light weights like when you're doing at home, then you can incorporate those tempo movement, increasing your tempo during your workouts in order to grow muscle even more than when you would very heavy lifting. Some of the workouts that I would incorporate if I were you working out at home would be like tempo squats. So these are really good. You don't need to contract all the way back up. You don't need to go all the way back up. You just need to bounce up and down and make sure your glutes are contracting throughout the whole movement and your booty will be firing. Also, I like to increase the tempo by holding it till failure. That is one movement. That is what I like to do toward the end of my hip thrust sets. And the fourth tip for building gluteus medius at home would be to increase the frequency of your gluteus medius days. So I know you would be training around 3 leg days per week, or 4 leg days per week, or 2 leg days per week, but it doesn't matter what, you need to be increasing your gluteus medius training a lot. I like to do it around 2 to 3 times a week, but it really depends on you. Some people, they can go with really high frequency training, but other people cannot. So you have to find which one works best for you. Some people feel super tired, they feel overtrained, but other people work better when you have a greater stimulation for muscle growth by increasing the frequency of your training days. So if you are reducing the training frequency, you want to be increasing the volume of each training session. Make sure that your volume is increasing each and every week progressively when you're training at home. Number 5 is that your quality of your exercises matters more than quantity. It doesn't matter how many reps you are doing. If you are not squeezing hard enough in each of them, if you're just wanting to get the workout be done and over and just rushing through it, you won't be feeling that growth much. You need to be pushing hard with each and every rep, pretty close to failure, but not too dead. You have to be mindful of your form as well. For example, when you're doing squats, you want it to be at least parallel. Especially when it's below parallel, it is even better because that means that your glute muscles will be torn apart. And that is exactly what you want. You want to be torn apart. So when you're doing your step ups, you also want to be contracting your glutes, squeezing them on top. When you are doing deadlifts, you want to be squeezing again. When you're doing hip abduction, you want to be squeezing again, squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. So that is what I would do. Pay attention to each and every rep that you do. So here is how I would do a glute medius focus training. I would make sure to increase my gluteus medius day. And I also want to be changing up the exercises here and now, so your muscles do not get used to one more movement. And I would do that around once every 3 to 4 weeks. I would also increase the tempo. If you are facing any plateaus, I would increase tempos almost all of your workout, especially toward that last set. You want to be prolonging that contraction the most. Like for hip thrust, I like to do it squeeze on top till failure. And of course, I would be including my glute activation exercises and also be mindful of the exercises performed. Last but not least, you have to be patient. You cannot grow your glute in just a span of a few days or maybe even a few weeks. It might take at least around a month if you are doing it correctly in order to see the growth. So I want you to be consistent with it, be disciplined, and play around with which one works for you, as I talked about all those information in this video. I hope you really enjoyed it and get so much value from it. give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe so that you don't miss out on any of my information, updates, and my journey on trying to help you become the best version of yourself. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you on my next video.